Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're diving into a massive macroeconomic shift that is literally impacting everyone's wallet right this second. The Federal Reserve? Yeah, they've completely flipped the script on the economy, on inflation, and crucially, on your investments. We're going to break down what the data is actually telling us, how these changes are going to ripple through the markets, and how you can best position your own money in this chaotic new reality. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's start with the giant number flashing red across the markets right now. 4.2%. I know, we've been seeing prices cool off for months, right? Well, inflation just pulled a massive U-turn. We are officially back to a 3-year high, with the consumer price index spiking up to 4.2%. And honestly, that is a huge wake-up call for the entire financial system.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at inflation and the new Fed rates. Second, we're assessing risks for investors. Third, real estate in an era of uncertainty. And finally, protecting your capital and personal finances.
Part 1. Inflation and the new Fed rates. So when we peel back the layers on this 4.2% inflation spikes, there's really no mystery here. Almost this entire jump comes down to one massive slice of the pie: energy. Thanks to the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East, energy costs have practically doubled in just the last 6 months. It's crazy. And as energy costs go up, it directly pushes up the price of pretty much every other good and service out there in the economy.
Now, you absolutely have to look at the Producer Price Index, or PPI. Think of PPI as the pipeline of future price hikes. It measures what businesses are paying before they pass those final costs on to us, the consumers. Well, the latest PPI data came in way hotter than expected, and this puts the Federal Reserve in an impossibly tough spot. Look, if oil stays expensive, inflation just isn't going down. And if those tentative peace deals in the Middle East fall apart, oil is going to skyrocket again, basically forcing the Fed to sit on their hands and wait.
And speaking of the Fed, with Kevin Warsh stepping in as the new Fed chair, replacing Jerome Powell, the central bank's entire playbook has totally changed. Based on their new projections, the Fed is actually planning to hike interest rates slightly in 2026. Yeah, rate hikes. And only after that are they looking at cutting rates in 2027 and 2028. This total overhaul of the timeline means the markets have to adapt, and they have to adapt fast.
But maybe the wildest part of this pivot is Warsh's whole controversial approach to the famous dot plot. That chart where Fed members traditionally publish their economic expectations. Warsh's philosophy? Less signaling, more doing. In plain English, he wants to ditch those familiar market forecasts, which makes the whole economic environment way less predictable. Going forward, investors are going to have to get used to flying blind, with pretty much zero clear guidance from the regulators.
Moving on to Part 2. Assessing risks for investors.
First up, we need a reality check on the stock market hype, especially with everyone buzzing about the massive $2 trillion SpaceX IPO. At first glance, tech IPOs valued over $1 billion since 2010 look amazing. They show an average 5-year return of 248%. But here's the catch. That number is massively skewed by a few rare outliers like Shopify and Palantir. The grim reality? If you strip out those few massive winners, the median tech IPO actually drops 7.4% just 6 months after its first day of trading. So buying into that hype usually just leads to below-market returns.
On top of that, the broader market is looking incredibly overheated. The S&P 500's price-to-earnings, or PE ratio, is currently sitting right near 40. To put that into perspective, the only other time in history we touched that level was at the absolute peak of the dot-com bubble. Bank of America analysts are even warning that the S&P 500 is overvalued on 17 out of 20 valuation metrics. Now, I'm not saying you should panic and sell everything. Markets can stay irrational for a long time, but right now you need to be absolutely meticulous and cautious about where you're putting your money. And this extreme volatility, it is hitting the crypto market hard too. Bitcoin is down almost 40% from its all-time high over the past year. One big reason for this is what we call the corporate crypto death spiral. You have corporate whales like MicroStrategy issuing shares to buy Bitcoin, offering investors high dividend yields. But when the price of Bitcoin drops, they are literally forced to sell off their Bitcoin just to cover their costs. Case in point, a recent public sale of just 32 Bitcoins by them sparked a massive market panic because everyone was terrified of a domino effect of liquidations and further drops.
All right, Part 3. Real estate in an era of uncertainty.
So right now, we are witnessing a massive standoff in the housing market. In one corner, you've got the sellers. A lot of them are stubbornly holding out for those crazy 2021 peak prices, and if they don't get them, they're just yanking their homes right off the market. In the other corner, you have the buyers. They're staring down these high mortgage rates, but they know they actually have the leverage now.
They're making aggressive, lowball offers, and they are not afraid to just walk away from a deal. Because of this bizarre tug-of-war, the typical home price is only up a measly 0.8% year-over-year.
But keep in mind, real estate is incredibly hyper-local. Broad macroeconomic panic doesn't just blanket every single neighborhood the same way. The data shows that prices are definitely tumbling in those formerly hyped-up, overvalued areas like Austin, Denver, and large chunks of California. But look at the Midwest. In more affordable cities like Rockford or Rochester, housing prices are actually climbing steadily. Those markets are acting like a magnet for younger buyers who are just desperately looking for realistic price tags for their very first home.
Which brings us to part 4, protecting your capital and personal finances. Let's pause for a second. I want to ask you directly, how are you planning to protect your wallet when you objectively have zero control over the Federal Reserve, interest rates, or inflation? It is so easy to just get swept up in the panic of the 24/7 news cycle. But the actual answer? It's strict, boring management of the few things in your financial life that you actually do control. So here are some concrete, immediate wins for your financial defense. First, secure life insurance if you have dependents. We can sit here and analyze Fed dot plots all day long, but if the unthinkable happens and your family isn't protected financially, none of this math matters. Second, if you are buying a house, shop aggressively for mortgage rates. Even a fraction of a percent saves you thousands over the life of a loan. Third, completely ignore the market hype. Do not go chasing after overpriced IPOs. And fourth, maintain your discipline with regular, consistent investments. This brings us to the core survival philosophy for today's economy. The highest chance of coming out ahead is consistently buying in. Look, despite energy market shocks, inflation rebounding to 3-year highs, and the Fed pivoting to rate hikes, boring, consistent, regular investing is still your absolute best defense. Trying to perfectly time your entry into a market this unpredictable is pretty much a guaranteed way to lose. It's that consistency and a long-term mindset that actually builds real wealth. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. Is your personal financial plan built for temporary hype, or is it genuinely robust enough to outlast tomorrow's unpredictable news cycle? Take some time to audit your own strategy. Focus strictly on what's inside your zone of control and take the wheel on your own risk management. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.